On behalf of the wedding party and the Wild family and Wilson family, I just want to say thank you all for being here tonight. It's truly a blessing to have everybody here, and I know that RJ and Steph are so appreciative that we're all here to celebrate this with them tonight and share in this moment. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kyle Waterstone, and I am a good friend of RJ and the Wild family. And for those of you that do know me, particularly this table right here, don't hold that against me in the next couple of minutes here. When RJ asked me to be the best man, I was honored. And the first thing that went through my mind after he asked me to be the best man was the bachelor party. That's a discussion for another time and place. But the second thing was the opportunity to give this speech. And you know, I know many of you will be surprised to hear this, but I was actually at a loss for words when he asked me to be the best man. I didn't really know what I could say. How could I even scratch the surface of my relationship with RJ? How could I sum up 20 years of stories in less than a couple minutes? How could I do justice to our relationship? So again, the folks of you here that know me know that I am probably the most overly organized, obnoxiously type A, PowerPoint, research-driven kind of guy. And so I did what I always do when faced with a crisis situation. I did my homework. So I Googled best man speeches. I did it, I'll be honest. I did it, and sadly there was nothing out there. It was pretty bad. And so I moved on to resource number 2, which was a book I received a few years ago from my aunt. It was called Wedding Speeches and Toasts. And in my darkest hour, back against the wall, didn't know what to say, I decided, well, I guess I could use speech number 10 and simply plug RJ's name into that speech. That seemed slightly impersonal for me to do that for the best man, so I thought of the better, and I moved to resource number 3, which was Hollywood. I rented a bunch of movies. I guess that's the beauty of DVR. I got The Wedding Date, The Wedding Planner, my big fat Greek wedding, 2 weddings and a funeral,
And even
Wedding Crashers, and The Hangover. All great movies. I recommend them all highly. They were also dead ends for giving speeches. So I thought, well, I guess what could I talk about? What could I talk about? I pulled out a notepad and I jotted down everything that I could talk about. I thought, well, I could talk about how I remember the exact day that RJ and his family moved into our neighborhood. I could talk about how we used to play all day and night in RJ's backyard on Heather Drive, and we would invent new ways of endangering our lives while pushing Mrs. DeWild to the brink of ruin. I can remember all the phases that we went through as kids. I could talk about there was a G.I. Joe phase, there was a Jurassic Park phase, there was a macrame necklace phase. To be honest, that's true. There was Navy SEALs, paintball guns, weightlifting at an extremely premature age, and of course professional wrestling, which I'll admit I haven't necessarily grown out of. That's true. And I thought, well, what else could I talk about? I could talk about how when most guys were out chasing girls, we were at a friend's playing video games, we were playing pickup basketball at Alex's, or we were inventing some new soccer skill to challenge each other. I could talk about how there was a summer where I literally spent more nights at the DeWild's house than I did at my own. I think there was a stretch there where it was 10 or 11 days straight, and my mom had actually issued an Amber Alert. And my face had appeared on several milk cartons in the Holland area. That was a missing persons report, I think. I could talk about how the DeWild family used to set a placemat for me at their dinner table. No joke, every single night, just in case I stayed for supper. I could talk about how RJ's family is an extension of my family. How Mr. DeWild is my dad. He was my dad, especially when mine wasn't around. I could talk about how I've never met someone as committed to friendships as RJ. If you look around this center table here, it's the same guys since Lakeshore Soccer and all the other stuff. I mean, it's the same people. He's that committed. I could talk about the smile on his face or the change in his voice when RJ talks about Steph. I could talk about how his love for her has roots, and those roots grow really deep, and they nourish every other aspect in RJ's life. I could talk about my own excitement for their life together and the opportunities that it affords me to share in that life. I could talk about all of that, but I won't. I won't talk about any of it. What I will say is that besides being my best friend, I know that he's also Steph's, and that beyond RJ's deep commitment to his friendships, his promise and love to Steph delve so much deeper. So if you could please, raise your glasses and toast with me to what I did and what I didn't talk about. RJ and Steph.
Cheers.